Hello, hello, are we live? I am Technovoid, your host, and velvety voiced still host here with my little helper, Hamsterwings. How are you doing, Hamsterwings?
Alive.
You are alive. Chat, hi there. This is the ad run. You hate an ad run. Let me know if the volumes are good, but otherwise, season 7, baby, we're getting into it. Are you excited for season 7?
I think so, yeah.
That's cool. At least one of us is. Let's get straight into it. So, for those of you who are new here, the overview is the first video of the season. We talk about every team. We used to go pick by pick. That ended up taking like upwards of 3 hours. This season we have like 180 picks. That would just be our entire day. So we're not doing that. Instead, we are going by the entire team. So let's start off with the Armory. So this is Meteor Bauer's team. How are you feeling about this one? I have a few thoughts.
I mean, what immediately jumps out is Genesect as the S tier.
Yeah, which is very new, which is very funny because it's like the first time Genesect has actually been picked in a season. It was the very, very last pick of the season.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm happy to see it.
I am happy to see it as well. The thing about Genesect here is I feel like it's not. I feel like it struggles to make a name for itself in the S tier. That being said, this team just has a really solid support slash damage core. Both of
Yep.
these A tiers are really, really good at supporting Genesect and also really good at just being threats on their own.
Yep.
I kind of love this SAA. Moving into the B tier, I'm a big fan of the Fourgeist. The Fourgeist doesn't stop outgoing priority, right? It's like you can still E-speed, it only stops incoming priority.
Yep.
So there's that, and then there's Salamence, so you nice Intimidate right there. And then honestly, C tiers, with the exception of Kilowattrel, which I don't know much about, I feel pretty good about this one.
Uh I mean Kilowattrel is, I assume here, the fast tailwinder. It's faster than Salamence at least.
That makes sense.
It's got a decent speed tier.
Okay.
Uh I think it is a crime that Ogerpon Hearthflame was left up for as long as it was.
It made it to like what, round 3, round 4? It
Uh, it was, yeah, it was Steven's round 2 pick, and he was last pick of round 2.
Yeah, yeah. Which I mean, it's a really good Pokemon. I think Hearthflame is the second best Ogerpon, of the four. I think it's better in some ways than Wellspring. Like I think offensively, it's probably better than Wellspring. I feel like Wellspring is better as a support. Um, Generally,
Yeah,
this Meteor Bauer is well known for his balanced teams, and I feel like this is no exception. I feel like this is very balanced. Pretty much everything on this team I feel like offers both roles. Like everything here acts as a switch in, everything here acts as sort of a pivot, but pretty much everything here also acts as something that can get kills.
imagine how scary this team would be if we still had Terra.
I mean, on what? On the Genesect?
Uh, on Genesect, on Ogerpon, both of them.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, what is Hearthflame Ogerpon? I mean, it's not really worth talking about, but I think it's like it's an attack
Attack.
boost. It's an attack. Jeez, yikes! Oh my God, so many Prime subs. Jesus, and I don't even have the graphic up on this particular scene. Oops, sorry guys. Thank you all for the subs.
I know there's a very scary Mega Blastoise on this team, but I think you should just almost never bring electricity into this team because, wow, there's a
Yeah,
lot of things that resist it, which is very, very good for a Blastoise.
it's good for Blastoise. Ogerpon, deals very well with the grass as well. Both gens, like this SAA covers each other super well, and the B tiers all offer just a really nice support. For Ridgeraff, obviously being able to stop priority from the outcoming side, able to set up TR if you want it, which I don't really feel like you do that often. This definitely feels more Tailwind oriented for the most part. Salamence offering Intimidate. Swampert just being honestly one of the best pivots I feel like possible.
Yeah.
This is just really, really good. I don't have many other thoughts on this than I think this is going to be a very frightening team in the coming season.
So do I. Yeah.
Dig it. All right. Yeah.
I think spread moves are your friend against a team like this.
Both of these A tiers with access to follow me is definitely scary. All right, moving on into force field. Um, this team, I mean, I'm not seeing too many synergies here. Maybe I'm crazy. The speed tiers don't seem that great, with the exception of Mega Sceptile, which I believe is super fast. Am I correct on that?
Mega Sceptile is incredibly fast. Yeah,
Okay,
it's like
yeah.
It's like base 145 or
Jeez,
something.
yeah. So Mega Sceptile is definitely the thing about speed creeping is I feel like it doesn't super work when you have one really fast thing, but then like the rest of things are not that hard to speed creep.
I mean, Jolteon's no slouch either.
But does Jolteon have any? What does Jolteon have? Like offensively?
Uh, it's not the best, but I mean, it's not the best.
Yeah. Um, I think I think Sceptile. Do we have a? I guess we have. I'm assuming what's its face. The the dark flying thing, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
That can
Mandibuzz.
Mandibuzz, thank you. That can do Tailwind, right?
Yep.
So you have your Tailwind, you have your Fast, but I feel like a lot of these Pokemon don't necessarily go for that. I mean, obviously your Chi-Yu, you definitely prefer speed to slow. But in terms of like your Primarina, your Melmetal, I feel like this is sort of a slower half of the team, which I don't mind at all. Can anything besides Hoopa set up TR here?
Indeed.
Indeed. Oh, did Indeedee female get to you? I guess it did. Yeah, it like
Yeah,
didn't have it and then it got it
because of that bug.
because of that bug. Fantastic, hilarious. Um, I I'm not sold on the speed tiering here. I just don't see synergies. Do you?
The speed tiering is definitely weird,
Mm-hmm.
but there, and also Torracat's very weird.
I mean, I get it to some extent. We've seen Torracat before. I mean, right next to the Indeedee, it's a bit strange.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
I, yeah. To me, it feels like this team, because like you have like Ice Shard for Mega Sceptile, so I feel like Indeedee is good at blocking for Mega Sceptile specifically. I don't super know what it does for like Melmetal. I don't super know what it does for Primarina. Chi-Yu, I guess, but like this is a team that has Psychic Terrain that I don't know how much it benefits from Psychic Terrain.
Yeah, that's probably the weirdest thing is that there's no expanding force spammer.
Yeah, this.
Like Indeedee can do it,
Uh huh.
but it's Indeedee.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, yeah, about sort of the thought process here because the team is called Force Field. It seems like to be the field seems to be like sort of part of the import of this team, but I'm not really seeing what Psychic Terrain really does here.
I'm seeing a lot of things that are just strong on their own, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think the way I see it is like there's and this is actually true for a couple of teams as I was looking over and sort of writing my notes for myself for today. There's a couple of teams that I feel like have a lot of just generally good picks, but don't have an overall uh, identity as a team. And this is one of the ones that I sort of feel like that. Definitely not with the Armory. I think Meteor Bauer absolutely has synergies going on there. Here, it does feel more like any of these six could really come to a match, which is sort of a good thing, right? Like, I think there's definitely a benefit to not being limited in what your particular comps look like.
yeah.
But I also do feel like sometimes you suffer with that coming up against something that definitely has set sort of synergies.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I do really like the Primarina on this team. I honestly like the Torterra on this team because this team is not Ice Weak. I mean, it obviously has the Mega Sceptile, but the Melmetal, the Torracat, the Primarina, the Chi-Yu, all those things I feel like are
I think
nice ice
I
counters.
think I think given the psychic terrain, my favorite picks here are Melmetal and Primarina.
Why?
Because Melmetal often likes to run Assault Vest,
Mm-hmm.
and on this team it can just run Psychic Seed instead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that.
Allows it to use, its set up body press sets or just protect while still getting the Spadef boost.
That's a good point. I hadn't considered that because I'm mainly thinking about the two things I'm thinking about, like how does this boost psychic moves and how does this stop priority. But that's a good
Hmm.
point with the psychic seed. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Do you have any other final thoughts on this team?
Uh, Other than Primarina getting a lot of buffs this season, not really.
Okay. Alrighty, let's move on into curtain call. Um, I really like this team for a couple of reasons. First of all, we should mention Kieran Black was definitely in contention for whether or not it was going to be allowed in this season. It has been allowed. It is now being used in Quickball. We will see what happens.
I'm happy for that.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. As we go further in this list, I think it's going to become more and more obvious just how important ice moves are going to be in Quickball. I feel like so many of the Quickball teams simply lose to like Blizzard spam or like stuff like that. And so I feel like having this sort of double hail this hail option. This isn't a hail team, but it has like a hail option. I guess it's snow now. But between Kirin Black, between the Obama Snow, whatever the Arctivish, I don't know why you would ever choose this. Maybe I'm insane. Um,
It has the speed boosting thing,
Slush
the
Rush.
ability. Yeah, that I think.
But like, what ice move? I mean, I guess it's Strong Jaw, but at that point, I don't know. It seems a bit strange to me.
Let me look. Let me check myself actually before I say that. Arctovish.
But yeah,
Arctovish has Slush Rush. Yeah, it does.
yeah, I figured it did. I think the body gets it.
And of course, it gets Fish's Rend.
Vicious Rend. Yeah, I mean, water's nice. You have the Mega Gyarados here that I believe has Mold Breakers. That's useful. Togetic, one of the generally more slept on sort of supportive C tiers, which I think is fine. It's not like super super good. There are better ones in the tier, but for a C tier pick, you could definitely do a lot worse. Talk to me about this Medicham, because Medicham was, I think, the first C tier drafted this season, and Okarari has definitely like talked about how them thinking this is a really really high value C tier. I don't really know much about it.
So Medicham.
What does
I
this thing do?
I don't know that I see the value in it. It has like everybody knows it has pure power,
Yes.
but its attack stat is 60
Yeah. And
compared to like
unlike
Azumarill,
yeah,
which
Azumarill has
who's
50, but it has a
yeah,
belly drum.
it has belly drum and it has a lot of priority. Medicham does share that priority, which is nice. It's notably doesn't have Mach Punch.
I do feel like it's a worse offensive typing too, potentially.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think
It
Fighting Psychic is that good.
it's got its main things are Fake Out and Bullet Punch, I think,
Uh huh.
and of course High Jump Kick, which is always scary in doubles because there's a lot of Protect.
Mm-hmm.
But of course it gets other options like Drain Punch, like Close Combat. Um, I guess I don't super see it, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it's used.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious. Um,
And a big thing that strikes me about this team is that it's all offense.
it is very strong offense. I do like that. There's a lot of I mean, you have Talonflame here with the Tailwind. You've
I feel
got
like if you get speed control over this team, it doesn't have much of an answer.
mm, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I
Like
mean,
Kieran Black lives one hit. Goldango maybe lives one hit. The Amoonguss thing probably lives one hit. And that's like it.
you think even with Snow Up, you think Kirim is only surviving one?
Um, I feel like usually because it's an S tier, you're gonna prep a ton into it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and you do have a few of these quad weaknesses here with Obama Snow and Brute Bonnet and Talonflame.
Yeah.
How we feeling about Monkey Dory? I know he's there. He's the monkey in the room. We're not talking about him, but we all know how strong he is.
Yeah, I mean, he is genuinely a good mon. 130 special attack is always no joke. 106 speed, a nice speed tier. Uh, Again, it's a new Pokemon. I'm not super familiar with what it does,
Mm-hmm.
but most of what I've seen it do is just be scarfed.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, I think this team is mainly going Tailwind. That being said, I do think it has some Trick Room options. I think Brute can definitely do okay in TR. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know much about Mega Gyarados' speed stat to say on that front. Goldingo probably okay.
Mega Gyarados is 81.
81. Yeah, it's not the worst thing to possibly be. One of the things that I will say, like the big thing about this team, I think Curtain Call is going to do very, very well this season. And I think that comes down to two things. One, I just think the type coverage that this team has and sort of the offensive pressure this team has really blows a lot of the quick ball teams out of the water. I think it has a very, very strong matchup into a lot of teams. And this is true of a couple of other teams. I think this one just has a nice snow setting without snow like requirement.
Yeah. Um, I think a lot of beating this team, weirdly, is going to be just strong steel and strong rock because that's what hits both Kiram and Togetic effectively,
Mm.
which was really smart to take Golden Go, the main steel spread attacker.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was the first pick too, I think. Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely was. Yeah, yeah. Goldengo's just a really good Pokemon, honestly. Like
yeah.
both defensively and offensively, so that worked really well. Okie
hmm
doke. Any final thoughts on this one, or shall we move on?
I think that's basically all I had to say.
Cool. All right, on to Elite Four. Um, this team, I think Elite Four is a very, very good name for this team because I think the four top Pokemon in it, Landorus, Mega Venusaur, Kingambit, and Melodic, I think they're all very, very good. I don't see any synergy with this team though.
Let's see.
Like obviously you have another a Snow Setter, and then you have the Thick Fat, which is nice. Kyurem's gonna or not Kyurem. Landorus is gonna suffer with ice, but like that's to be expected anyways. Otherwise, not as big of an ice weakness. There's
the
no
other
yeah,
the other Slush Rusher is here.
the other Slush
So
Rusher. Yeah. The two things that really stand out to me are one, there is no dragon type, which like it's not the worst thing in the world. It's nice to have dragon type because you resist the like the firewater grass core.
yeah.
No fire type struggles here.
Yeah, I always feel like it's rough to not have a fire type. Mega Venusaur does get Weather Ball now, which I don't know why it would be a fire type move on this team ever.
I mean, I guess if
If
you're
anything, it would be Ice.
yeah, I mean, if you're going up against like Math Geek Week 1, like maybe Weather Ball, but other than that, just I feel like fire offers this team so much and there just isn't one.
Yeah, because I mean, it struggles. I don't know. I don't want to say it struggles defensively into things that fire beats,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't necessarily.
Right.
But
Yeah, I mean, I think the team definitely like this is very balanced.
I think defensively, this team is super solid.
Yes, agree.
I think it has trouble with speed control. I think it has trouble. It doesn't have anybody that's just like hits like a truck. Like it has King Gambit, who hits really hard, but he's not a Pokemon I would consider like a breaker, not without setup at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I see that. I mean, Cleavor maybe
Cleaver with sharpness, yeah. I mean, I've
potentially.
used it before. Don't sleep on that Pokemon. It's very good.
Yeah. I mean, Mega Venusaur historically performs really, really well. The team, I think, sort of like to what you're saying, where there's like, it's defensively very solid. Offensively, it's like maybe not applying that much pressure. This feels very much like one of those like bulk balance teams,
Mm-hmm.
which I think generally is one of the easier styles to play in. Like, I feel like mistakes you make in this sort of comp aren't as damning. There's like more wiggle room,
Mm-hmm.
and so I feel like in quick ball that is very effective because a lot of people, it's a lot harder to punish this kind of team when this kind of team makes a mistake. So for people who are already not going to be as adept as seeing where the mistakes are and not being able to capitalize on them as effectively, a team like this I feel like could do very well as long as you just continue pivoting.
Mhm. Speaking of pivoting, there's a Gotharita here.
There is a Gotharita. I like Gotharita. I actually think it's not a bad pick.
Uh, I think it's fine on a team like this. I think it's good because you can pivot Landorus around with it out.
Mm,
It gives you an opportunity with Landorus using U-turn most of the time,
yeah.
or explosion, I guess. It gives King Gambit a pretty good opportunity to set up. It also lets you lock people in with Venusaur's Leech Seed.
Yep. I think the one huge thing about Gotharita that I don't love here is I don't exactly know what the plan for Ninetales are on this team. If Ninetales is doing what Ninetales usually does, which is setting up Snow and setting up Aurora Veil, you always struggle because Gotharita is very much playing a slow game, and when you get screens up, that's up for a limited number of turns, right? Any speed control you set up, any screens you set up, Gotharita goes against that, I feel like.
Yeah,
Because you're turning what should be 4 turns into 8 or 9. That's just what Gotharita does, and
but Gotharita does benefit a lot from the Aurora Veil
oh,
also.
absolutely, yeah, it does.
So I don't know that it's a waste.
I
But
wouldn't, yeah,
I get what you mean.
yeah. Not a waste necessarily, as much as just like a. If you lose the Ninetales early, just you need to, I feel like, swap that Gotharita out and just start pummeling damage, because otherwise,
Or just pivot to King Gambit setup immediately.
yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. So folks going against this team, because we sort of mentioned how this team is kind of hard to capitalize against on mistakes. What advice would you have for people fighting this?
Um, don't let Veil go up, for one thing. Tailwind is very preventable against on this team.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few things that get it. In fact, I think there's only one. No, there's two.
There's two, I think.
Um, so Tailwind is very preventable. Trick Room, there's only one option, and it's Gotharita.
Yeah.
So it's lacking in speed control, and I think that's the main thing you have to take advantage of.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, it's really hard to just break through this thing just naturally with Megavina with Melodic both there. It's not that Ice Weak. I mean, obviously the Lando, the Oricorio, but other than that, it's generally faring pretty well against Ice.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's fine against Ice.
yeah. Okie doke. All right, next up we've got Fat Cat Teahouse. This is one of the better teams in the season, I think.
I think this team's incredible.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Sinistra is a Pokemon that I just think has a lot of potential.
I think it has a lot of potential to make people angry.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Really, really strong offensive core here. Obviously, you have Hands, you have Skeledirge, Enamorus, even Metagross. Just really, really strong. Not that much defensively, but I feel like Ned has already proved with Persian just how good of a support option in C tier Persian is. And you have the Rabombi and you have the Sinistra. In terms of defensive backbone, I mean, you have Registeel, I guess, and Metagross to some extent, but I feel like Sinistra's pulling a lot of the weight of sort of keeping health bars up on this team.
Yep.
What?
If I had to
Yeah.
pick one thing that doesn't fit on this team, I guess I would say Registeel.
Registeel? Yeah. I don't like the Drampa on this team. I don't think it does anything.
Um, I don't love Drampa in general. I
Uh-huh.
don't think it's a very good Pokemon,
Mhm.
but when you type Dragon into the Pokemon Showdown thing and you look for C tiers, there's very few options,
That's fair.
and Drampa is one of them.
Fair. Yeah. No, I do think this team definitely just has, yeah. I mean, the Enamorus, the Hands, the Metagross, just very, very strong. And for pivots, obviously, you want the Sinistra pivoting out a lot. Persian is good at that. Does Iron Hands get pivot?
It gets Volt
It
Switch.
gets Volt Switch, which it doesn't really want to use, but it can. Um,
Uh, I think something notable is while there are flying types on this team, it's pretty ground weak,
that's a good point, yeah.
which I feel like every team ever drafted is pretty ground weak.
Yeah, which is interesting because this season does not have that many ground types. This feels like the season of definitely ground coverage.
Good thing I took a ground type.
Yeah. Um yeah, I do yeah, I think with the exception of I mean as you mentioned Reggie is sort of a strange pick. I don't think it's a bad pick necessarily, but I think
Me
it's
neither. I just think if I had to pick one thing that doesn't really fit here, it's Registeel.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's something that like is definitely sort of one of those like mons that comes to one match maybe two. Um
This is the kind of team where you're gonna have to just call pivots.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. And yeah, I mean that's true because defensively the team does struggle a little bit. Ned has proven from last season that's not really an issue. Ned is perfectly fine just having sort of like strong mons. I think that's a great point. Just predicting the pivots on these.
Yeah, their team's really good.
It is a really strong team. All right, let's move on into green beans. So speaking of teams that are super weak to ice, we've got the green beans.
It's not that weak
It's
dice.
pretty weak to ice. I mean, you're
Okay,
essentially
okay, maybe it has 5 ice weaknesses and like 7 freeze dry weaknesses,
yeah.
but it's got Arcanine Hisui.
Arcanine Hisui is pulling the weight of the world on this team here. Um, I feel yeah. I feel like this one really struggles with Berserker or Aggron basically needing to come to every single match.
Yeah,
Neither
that's kind of a big issue.
yeah,
Is that
not, not
you need at least one of Arcanine, Aggron, and Berserker in every match.
yeah. Um, I don't really follow the Pelipper pick here. The Pelipper feels purely like Zapdos support. Am I missing something?
I don't know that it does much other than help Zapdos.
Yeah.
Like it gets Tailwind, but you have 2 better Tailwinders.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's a Water type, I guess. Which you have another Water type, but it's probably not as good as Pelipper. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like offensively, at least, Clawitzer is probably better than Pelipper. Pelipper is better overall just because it has support options, but like, if you're just trying to take advantage of Water
Uh,
Stab,
Offensive Pelipper has kind of been all the rage these days.
okay, I wouldn't know anything about that. I think this team needs to go offensive.
Yeah,
I think this team,
but
yeah,
you're spec to do that with Whimsicott.
this is true. This is true. I just one thing that I would just warn uh Derpy Jacob about is because a lot of new players sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Um gravitate towards sort of a balanced playstyle or sort of like bulky offense where it's like you want your shit to survive for several turns so that you can output several attacks. This team, I feel like, just needs to pump out damage. I mean, Rillaboom is very good at that. Arcanine is very good at that. Zapdos is very good at that. Cyclozar offers you pivots when you need it. But I just feel like you cannot be relying on Arcanine, Aggron, and Berserker to be um, tanking as much as they would otherwise need to be on this team.
Yeah, and Arcanine Hisui is notably much more offensive than regular Arcanine,
Yeah,
which is good. I think that's what you need here.
yeah,
Uh, you don't have a ground type. I kind of get it because you have Rillaboom, but I think you still need a ground type.
yeah.
Uh, Probably replace one of the ice weaknesses for it because ground is also an ice weakness.
Yeah. I mean, Archeops, I feel like is not a useful pick here. I mean, I guess because you need to go offensive, it could, but I just generally don't feel like it adds much to the team. Obviously, I mean, you have Rock Stab already, you have Flying Stab already, It's got a nice speed tier, I
It's got an
guess.
alright speed tier, yeah.
It's got a pretty good speed tier.
Yeah, it's 110. It's Ogerpon speed.
Yeah. But this is a team that is already, if this team doesn't have Tailwind up, it's losing.
Yeah.
This is a team that needs Tailwind constantly and needs to end a match before Tailwind goes down. Otherwise, you get put too much on the back foot.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of Sash Whimsicott and maybe even bulky Zapdos, which makes the Pelipper pick feel worse, even.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this
Because
team, yeah.
this team wants to run offensive Zapdos.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. Yeah, I think this team is potentially going to struggle against a lot of the other comps. That being said, I do think it has potential. I just think Derpy needs to uh, focus in on those offensive sets, like you were saying, and just not give in to the natural. I get this too. The natural sort of inclination to build slightly tankier and not rely as much on that defensive core, because the defensive core is really relegated to Pokemon that are just mediocre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the main thing.
Alrighty. Alright, next up we've got Villain Arc. There is one combo. There's two combos on this team I really, really like. The first one, Serena Chen Pao, I think goes hard as hell.
Uh, we're seeing a lot of VGC here, really,
Yeah.
with Chen Pao, Urchipu Rapid Strike. Serena, not so much,
Uh-huh.
but it pops up once in a while.
Yeah.
But Chen Pao and Urshifu right now are very high VGC usage.
Yeah, for sure. And for good reason, yeah. Um the team I think generally feels kind of fairy weak, but obviously I think that's where Aegislash and Slowking come in.
Yeah, Charizard resists too,
Yeah,
because why not?
I guess, yeah. I feel like that's a really nice, the Aegislash and to me, basically, the Urshifu I think stands on its own. The Urshifu is just a very good mon. And then the two sort of cores that stand out to me are that Serena Chen Pao is just this very nice offensive core that also like blocks opposing priority without blocking Chen Pao's. And then Aegislash and Slowking are, I feel like, are a very good set of pivots.
Yeah.
Um, Meowstic Male I think is a great pick just because I feel like it being dropped to C tier made it a lot more valuable.
I think this team can very easily just run hyper offense with screens
Yeah, for sure.
from Meowstic.
I think it definitely has that potential. There's no like quote unquote hail setter here. Unfortunately for this team, there are no hail teams in timer. There are a couple in quick. Um, is there? Am I wrong? I might be wrong. I'm trying to think because I know we've had two. I think three snow setters were picked this season. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was only two, but I think they're all in quick. But yeah, I think this team, I mean, you have the Altaria, really nice fairy coverage against the enemy. And then obviously the Urshifu is scary. And then just a strong offensive core. Charizard kind of feels like the odd one out to me.
I kind of get that. It's not horrible.
Yeah, I mean, having access to fire is definitely nice. And hell, actually, there's a couple of times that you could use solar power here. It would not be bad.
Yeah.
Scarf solar power Charizard.
I mean, in terms of other C tier fire types, there's not a lot of good ones, especially with Moltres leaving C tier.
Yeah, that's true.
That's probably the biggest one is that Moltres left.
Mm-hmm. Does this team have Tailwind? I'm guessing
Start gets
Altaria?
it.
Altaria, yeah.
Start in Altaria, yeah.
Yeah, because there's definitely several Trick Room setters here. I'm just trying to wonder what this team does in regards to speed, because obviously Chen Pao and Urshifu, I generally feel like want Tailwind.
Yeah. It might not be an issue just because of screens. How free screens are in every match.
That is true, yeah. Yeah, obviously Psychic is not a particularly good type, but I mean, yeah, of C tier pranksters, I think Meowstic Male is definitely now one of the higher options.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, anything else?
I don't think so. I feel like this is the first team I've ever liked Aegislash on.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, for TDD, I think Aegislash has in the past definitely struggled to find a good place, but I just think it works so well as a defensive pivot here.
Yeah.
Egg wants to know if we have any thoughts on Lucario.
Yeah, he's your primary follow me user, right?
God, when I was making this graphic, I was thinking about that, and I thought, no, we're
That's
past
why
that.
That's why he's in the front. He's
That's
the
why
center of attention.
he's the center of attention. I was like, yeah, we're past that. We're past that. We're using Lucario for, you know, it's move pool, and it's, you know, it's generally good offensive stats. As I was thinking, but we'll see. We
Yeah, I
shall
mean,
see.
Lucario, it
I
gets
think
a
it's
lot of
fine.
priority. It gets a lot of priority moves, which is always nice
Yeah,
because its speed stat is middling.
I think it works here. Like, it doesn't stand out to me, but I think it's a perfectly good C tier pick for this team.
Yeah, I think so too.
Alrighty, next up we've got Slug Sundae. If there's one thing I think this team struggles from, that's not. I think there's a couple of things potentially this team struggles from. I think one big thing is items clause.
Uh yeah, maybe.
I feel like without Scarf on multiple of these people, you just have a hard time offensively, just outputting
Well,
damage.
who really needs a scarf? Do you think?
I mean, Heatran likes a Scarf.
Sometimes.
Heatran has a couple of options, but I feel like if you're really, really going for, I mean, Eruption is a huge one.
But who else?
I mean, I feel like Ogerpon could definitely use it. I feel like Lele likes it.
Only an offensive Ogerpon.
Well, right, but if you're running Ogerpon defensively, then what's your offensive core? Lele, Heatran, and Medicham?
I mean, Metacham's pretty good.
I know.
Mega Metacham's a pretty big step up from Metacham.
I do understand that.
Uh, Metacham is a little confusing to me, speaking of, because it's like it's the best fake out user in a Psychic
Train team.
Yeah. I don't know. But AV Heatran is a thing. Can be replaced with Psychic Seed Heatran. Never want to rule out the Psychic Seed.
Mm-hmm.
Ogerpon, I think, has better items than Scarf. I think Lele would be the primary Scarf user.
Yeah, I feel like any other team can speed control this team better.
Yeah, probably. Noivern's one redeeming quality was that it's fast, and honestly, recently it's been crept pretty hard. 123 is not cutting it anymore. And honestly, I don't know why you would use Noivern as a Tailwind spreader when Iron Jugulus is right there.
Yeah, Iron Jugulus is definitely the stronger pick here. I don't believe in Dockspun. I don't know what the fuck the point of Dockspun on this team is. I know it gets well-baked body. You literally have Heatran right there.
I mean, I just think Dockspun is a bad Pokemon.
I don't get it.
You know what's... Nah, that's not true.
I'm hearing Booster Energy is just better Scarf on this team, and I'm so confused. Yes, Jugulus, obviously, but, like, Jugulus is not running Scarf that frequently.
Yeah, I don't think you'd ever want to run
My
Scarf
main
over
point about
Booster
Scarf,
Energy.
I'm getting a lot of flack. I'm getting a lot of flack in chat about my Scarf point. What I'm saying is this team struggles with speed control. If Heatran is not moving first, if Ogerpon is not moving first, if Medicham is not moving first, if Lele is not moving first, you just don't have a good defensive backbone outside of Gastrodon.
I don't agree with that for Heatran. Medicham
Okay.
and Lele, maybe.
What is Heatran's move pool? It has like Eruption and like fucking like flame shit. And like Flash Cannon, I guess.
Do you think Heatran is a sweeper? Heatran is not a sweeper.
I don't know. I feel like the team does not resist ground enough to. Obviously, you have two flying types, but like Doublade is obviously here as a huge defensive mon.
I'm just gonna have to disagree with you there.
Okay.
I think Ogerpon is pulling a lot of weight there.
All right, Diggory, make your own goddamn video. Fuck you. Jesus Christ. Getting roasted out here. I'm the one with the rain team. You can't roast me. I don't like the C tiers on this team with the exception of Cinchino and Doublade to an extent.
I think Cinchino goes incredibly hard. I
think it's
think
good.
Noivern is redundant. I think Doxbun is just not good. And I see a use case for Doublade, but you have Heatran.
I do like the Gastrodon, Heatran, Ogerpon combo. It's a good trio. It works very well.
They're an amazing core.
Yes. I don't super know what the Lele does here. I mean, it offers Fairy, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't see a ton of, like, Psychic Terrain abuse. Or any, really. But Lele still hits hard.
Yeah. Alright. Next up, we've got Fantasy Core. Three things about this team. Number one, love the name. Great pun. Because the SAA is a fantasy core. Hilarious. Number two, this is genuinely one of the best teams OJ has ever built. This might be the best team OJ has ever built, in my opinion.
It's a pretty good one.
I like this team. I feel like OJ generally struggles. The one team that I always go back to is the one that was like Psychic. It was like Tapu Lele Mega Venusaur. I don't remember what the fuck else it had, but I was just like, what are you doing? Like this is trash. But this team is good, and I really, really like this team because it is a sand team that absolutely does not need sand, does not need Hippowdon.
Yeah. It can very easily not bring Hippowdon to matches and still do very well. I like the comfort picks in Infernape and Morpeko.
Yeah, for sure. Morpeko was definitely on my list of like, there's not a lot of people, a couple of people, especially I see this more in Quickball than anything, have like comfort picks, right? That they just always want to go for each season, which I respect.
Yeah. Picking Garchomp, however, unfortunately, does make you a bad person on this team.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, Infernape and Slowking, I do feel like two really nice picks there. The Delmise as being part of the Firewater Grass Core feels a little bit weird to me. It's not bad, but like I don't generally think of Delmise as a defensive pivot, but I guess it works okay.
Its Fizdef is good.
Yeah, that's true. I think what this team really comes down to is the Deancey Corviknight Garchomp. I just feel like is so nice, and when you have that Hippowdon there that is like, it can come, the threat is always there, but if it doesn't, they're fucking fine, baby.
Yeah.
I love that for this team. I genuinely think OJ could have an awesome season if he plays his cards right with this one.
Yeah, the only team member that's truly sand reliant is Stoutland.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't feel like a mono normal C tier is coming to, most matches.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely seems like the one that is like specifically when you're trying to make abuse out of it.
Mm-hmm. But even little things like Sigilyph, Magic Guard, he's not getting chipped.
Yeah. Obviously, Deancey getting back those defenses that it loses to an extent.
Physically.
Yeah.
Or especially.
Especially, you mean? Yeah. Garchomp getting potential use out of its sand ability.
Bad. Don't do that.
No. Bright Powder. You have to understand.
I mean, do it because you drafted it, but don't do it because it's not morally correct.
It's not morally correct. No, I genuinely like this. I think this is a really strong team for OJ. I think it's the best he's built ever. I think
it's really good.
I like this team a lot. And it doesn't super suffer. Obviously, Garchomp, Delmise, not, Hippowdon, not great into ice, but, Deancey deals pretty well with it. Corviknight honestly deals pretty well with it. Slowking's huge here.
Yeah, your ice answer is Slowking. Like, Slowking destroys ice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think this is really, really good. Okay, any final thoughts on Fantasy Core?
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Make good use of Sigilif, okay? I'm believe in you, I trust in you. Alright? Just it doesn't have to come to every match like it did for me. Bring it once or twice when it can like really shine, alright? I trust you. Because Math didn't do it. I mean, Math honestly did the best thing Math could have done with Sigilif, which was never bring it. Um, on to Cloud City.
I love this team icon.
It's really good. This team is a lot of tried and true. Landorus, Incarnate, fucking great, Mon. Entei has proven its worth in spades. Finny has proven its worth in spades. Honestly, Driftbloom has multiple times. War Turtle has multiple times. Meowscarada and Raging Bolt, I both feel like they've never been used, but I both feel like they are gonna be good.
Yeah, for sure. Landorus, very notably, not as good as it was last season.
Yes.
Uh, Everybody, I think the whole audience watching this knows how much Landorus has been nerfed, but
Yeah.
in case anyone doesn't, we took away its Sandseer Storm.
Yes.
It was too much. You can't have it anymore.
The storm moves are not allowed. I think I don't know. I don't. When I look at this team, I don't see a specific. Obviously, I see a thematic being clouds. I don't see a team identity, but I see a lot of really good Pokemon. Um, that I think it's good because it doesn't focus too much on any one strat. There's a lot of options here.
Yeah, there's just a lot of.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a whole bunch you can do mid match to just change things.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to pick one thing I don't love, it's that you're. No, that's not true. I was gonna say your only Tailwinder's a C tier, but that's just not accurate. You have Scizor.
Does Lando not get it?
No,
Oh.
Landorus does not get it.
Oh.
Unless
Interesting.
they changed that recently.
No, probably not.
Landorus, uh, Tailwind. Yeah, no, still doesn't get it.
Dig it. Yeah. No, I mean, I think one of the big things that people are gonna have to grapple with, Juice included, is that the team, as we both said, doesn't have a single thing. Like it has a bunch of different things, which is a huge departure from Juice from season 6. Just as far as you could go in the other direction.
Pretty much.
From just like the one thing to the everything. One other thing I'm going to say, I don't know what Stantler does here. Stantler may legitimately be the worst C tier pick of this entire season, and I say that knowing what my team is.
You're wrong.
It gets Intimidate. What the fuck else does it get besides Intimidate? Wordier was up when this was picked, I think.
You have Pichu.
Yeah! Pichu's fucking fine, bro. He gets Fake Out. A Wordier was a snipe? Okay. I still don't know what the fuck Stantler does here. I feel like if you need an Intimidate pivot or you need a normal type, I feel like there's better options. I don't know what it gives you.
I don't think we're gonna see it in very many matches, just in general.
There were 100% better options. Okay, at least we're on the same page about that. Whoever said I'm gonna lose to Stantler now doesn't understand. I have Pichu. We're fine. Pichu's ballin', bro. You don't even understand. All right.
Juice talked to me about Gallade, and I so want both of us really want Gallade to do well. I cannot see it. It's so slow.
Yo,
it hits so hard now, but it's so slow.
simply follow me. It's fine. War Turtle is goated.
Sure.
Look, I'm now realizing maybe for the first time that Gallade's arms don't extend when it's attacking, I don't think, which means its arms in this art are just incorrect.
Huh?
I don't think it can do that. You see how like the back arm, like the arm connects, it's very short, but it's very long on the front one. I don't think Gallade can naturally extend that part of its body. I don't think it has any animation that does that, which just means in this art it's fucking lopsided as hell.
Maybe it can. I don't know. Breloom has stretchy arms. You would never know that by playing the game.
I guess. Irrelevant, Your Honor. All right, that's it for Cloud City. Unless you got anything else.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. All right, round 2. I feel like Iron Valiant on this team is either going to be super, super important or really struggle to find a place to work because most of this team is just slow.
Valiant is kind of the one that doesn't fit on this team, which
Yeah.
is weird.
Yeah.
It's weird to say Iron Valiant doesn't fit.
Yeah, I feel like just Valiant Crobat is like they're part of a different team that was brought on as like an answer to other things. But I feel like most of the time this team is running TR, this team is running sort of, bulky offense, stall. I mean, the Ursaluna, the Mega Aggron, the Tinkaton, the Cresselia, obviously, even Hydrapple to an extent.
Yeah,
Fucking Mimikyu.
yeah.
I
I didn't even see him there. He's so small.
um the lack of a water type on this team I think hurts just because water is super useful on bulky teams and this one doesn't have one.
Yeah. It's also, I don't know. This is so weird to say with things like Ursaluna and Iron Valiant on the team.
Uh-huh.
It's not offensive enough for like full Trick Room.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean one of your best hitters here is Iron Valiant, which does not like Trick Room.
No, it doesn't. Um, I think, I mean, Aggron's a good pick here. I think Aggron works a lot in Trick Room.
Yeah.
I don't really understand stacking Aggron and Tinkaton though.
I think it was mainly to avoid the ice weaknesses in Hydrapple and Ursaluna and I guess Crobat, although Crobat was added later.
Sure. Um, I don't know. I like Tinkaton. I don't like it on hard Trick Room. I feel like support Pokemon other than Trick Room setters don't have a place on full Trick Room.
That's valid.
I feel like full Trick Room has to be Hyper Offense.
Yeah, I mean it's also nice for the fairy resist, although now Mega Aggron and Centiskorch are both added after that. It was sort of a problem before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Tinkaton worked really, really well in this team before the other C tiers were chosen.
Yeah.
That being said, I also think this team is in dire need of a dark type because no Malamar does not count.
Yeah, not really.
Sorry to say it.
Uh, it's also weird to see Cresselia.
What was that?
Because it's a defensive S tier on a hard Trick Room team. Like, I know it sets Trick Room,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like if you have a dedicated Trick Room setter like Mimikyu, you don't need Cresselia. You need something really slow and offensive in S tier.
Like last year, or that's an A tier now. I think Cress works in that, as you said, this is a hard Trick Room team, but Cress is able to operate outside of Trick Room pretty well just because of how bulky it is, to the point that it's like once the TR goes down, like obviously Ursaluna is gonna struggle a bunch. Aggron's gonna struggle a bunch, but I honestly think that's where like the Valiant and the Tinkaton and the Crest come in, where it's like, oh shit, well I lost my Mimikyu's fucking dead. We're only on turn 7 of the match. Enemy still has 4 of their Pokemon alive. You can pivot out of it.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario. I don't think that's the ideal way to play. I think it with how heavy this team does prefer Trick Room, I think you just want more ways to keep it up. But that being said, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Just Mimikyu as TR did not work for me, says Cotard.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if you want a better Trick Room setter, you should pick a more offensive S tier and drop Tinkaton for Dusclops.
Diggory saying VGC was filled with Ursaluna Cress as TR Lunar Blessing. What do you think?
I think that's fine. I think in an open meta like ours, I think there's more you can do.
Fair enough. All right. Moving
I don't
on.
know. That's just me. My bias is towards hyper offense Trick Room. I think it's the best way to run Trick Room, but that's just me.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that are weather teams, but that only have a single style instead of multiple, we have Solar Eclipse.
Um, it's okay to have it be your only style when your Sunsetter is your S tier.
Yeah. Yeah. Sun is a weird one because weather and TDD is kind of weird because weather and TDD does really well. Like weather teams tend to overperform, I feel like. That being said, Sun, with the exception of Old Hail, which now that it's snow is potentially a little bit different, we just have to see how it goes. Sun has kind of been the worst performing. Like Sand has been the best performing weather in TDD, I think, followed up by Rain. And then Sun's kind of after that. Obviously, we have Photosynthesis now, so things are a little bit different.
I don't know. Last time we saw Zard Y, it was a finalist team.
Was it? Was it post or?
Yeah, I believe so.
I guess.
And this team has a lot of the same picks as that, and by that I mean two, and it's Zard Y and Venusaur.
And Venusaur.
uh, I think, I think Roaring Moon and Great Tusk go hard on this team.
Yeah.
Great Tusk more so.
I think this team has potential to do well. I'm just not entirely sold on it.
I don't understand Heliolisk.
It's because it has like dry skin, I think, or solar.
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
know.
It has solar power.
That's the one.
But like, I don't know. If it's, I guess, the one thing that I feel doesn't fit. Maybe Klefki also. I don't feel like you need Prankster when your speed control is a weather.
Can it set screens?
It can, yeah. It
So
always can.
I guess there's that. Yeah, I mean, I like the SAA, and we'll see with another team coming up the whole thing with the photosynthesis mons sort of in the higher tiers.
It's also pretty noteworthy that Walking Wake was a snipe from this team.
Yeah.
Probably over Roaring Moon.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Overall, I'm not like super sold on this team. I think there's definitely a couple of good synergies. I do worry it is somewhat one note. There is one huge thing that I will give Math Geek props for. This team does not have 8 shared weaknesses.
Thank you.
I mean, that's huge. This is character growth. Math Geek built a team that isn't just mono weak to something, which is amazing. Huge for him. Big props on that. That being said, Volcanion obviously really nice here. As you mentioned, the Great Tusk I feel like pays dividends. One of the really big ground type attackers this season, which is surprising.
Yeah, I mean, we say that, but Ursaluna was on the last page.
I guess so. That's true. Roaring Moon is I don't know.
They're the two headlong rushers.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, I mean, you make a good point about Zard Y. Still, I don't know.
When Zard Y was legal in VGC, it like owned VGC.
Fair. Ambipom, I kind of like Ambipom here. Veluza, I don't really have many thoughts on. Galisopod is a struggle, man. I mean, I used it when I only had C tiers, so my situation was a little bit different, but Emergency Exit is so hard to deal with, Math. I wish you the best of luck with Galisopod, because it's a cool as hell mon, but it just becomes unusable so often.
Yeah, Emergency Exit does feel pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, first impression is nice. Like, what is someone bringing into this team that you want a first impression? Because it's like water is mediocre, rocks you're not hitting rocks, psychic, dark, I don't really know. So I don't really know what first impression does, and then liquidation is hurt by sun.
Yeah. I mean, Galisopod's good defensively. It's just, again, that whole Emergency Exit kind of messes with it.
Yeah. Matt says Heliolisk is my answer to bulky flying types. Is it? What is Heliolisk's defensive profile? It's not good.
I mean, I feel like the only relevant bulky flying type in Quick is Zapdos.
Yeah. Golisopod, you use it to swap in, take a solid hit, TP out. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's just bring a 6th Pokemon. Is my answer to that. Just bring a defensive pivot.
I mean,
Instead
I
of
get it.
I
There are
get it.
probably better options,
I think
but
it's misguided.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Golisopod here.
I think it struggles. I think it's fine. I think it struggles. I'm just warning. I'm just warning from previous experience. Otherwise,
Okay.
probably the best team Math has built. But I think it potentially has some.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main core is going to be Zard, Great Tusk, and Venusaur.
Yeah, and I think Volcanion's quite nice here as well.
Yeah, Volcanion too.
A 6th Mon doesn't have a stab 120 attack first impression before getting to U-turn out for free. Well, no, you see, because if you switch it in to take a hit, it actually leaves before doing anything, and then it's less than half hit points. Anyways, moving on. Garlic. This is fucking standard. I don't see anything unique about this team. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I just mean this team just looks so fucking standard.
No, he was using Garlic again. That's funny.
It's always Garlic. I mean, Incineroar, Mega Mawile, fucking Vaporeon, Dragonite, Rotom-Mow. This is just, like, if we could distill TDD essence down, it would just be this, I feel like.
Also, Quackable.
Sure. and like Latias is a good pick too. I mean you've got. I feel like I'm in VGC with this team, kind of. I don't know. A weird mishmash of different seasons of VGC.
I guess.
I don't think this team is hard to prep into. I think this team is good. I don't think it is offering any surprises.
I don't think it necessarily needs to.
I agree.
I think if an opponent has Defiant, this team is gonna be a nightmare to run. Like, what do you do?
I like Matt's note of the definition of a team that just looks like a team. It really does.
It kind of does, yeah.
I worry about it offensively. Obviously, you have the Mega Mawile, which is huge offensively, but kind of struggles when it relies on its priority, because it basically just has the Sucker Punch. So you kind of want TR for that. The Quackable has, what is it? It's Moxie it has?
Yeah.
It has Moxie, so and it has the move that boosts its own speed, so there's like something there. But other than that, I feel like this team is doing a lot of pivoting and not that much attacking.
I don't think that's true. I think it's good enough offensively.
I think it's fine. I just don't think it's amazing. I think, like, I don't see many breakers here, I guess is my point.
Yeah, but you only need one, and it's named Mega Mawile.
And it's named Mega Mawile, I guess, yeah. Mega Mawile I see as a huge win con for this team.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, is that every single game Mega Mawile is going to be a win con.
It's going to be a win con, yeah. You really need to preserve it. This team has good ways of preserving Mega Mawile. You have lots of good pivots here for it, but as soon as that thing goes down, you're on the back foot.
And I feel like the other win con, the only other major win con, is baiting with Mega Mawile while Latias or Dragonite set up.
Set up like a Dragon Dance. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Excited to see Virizion use. I don't know if there will be any, I will be honest.
There is a better grass type on the team.
Yeah. It's fine. Virizion is fine, I guess.
I think Virizion's fine as a C tier.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I feel like this team has, like, you talk about Pokemon having 4 moves syndrome. I feel like this team has 6 months syndrome.
I can kind of see that.
It's like, yeah, I got all the mons I want to use, and then there's also Virizion here, and Audino, sort of.
I think Audino might
Yeah,
come to
Audino might
matches.
come. No, to be clear, Audino's fine. Mega Typhlosion, Hisuian Typhlosion is fine. Vaporeon is great. I could see Vaporeon coming a couple of times. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like there's just some of these lower tier Pokemon are going to struggle actually seeing any play. That's all I got though.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Cool. All right, next up we've got Sada's Wrath.
This is also a Sun team.
Yeah, this one I think relies slightly less on Sun than the other one.
I don't know that that's even true.
I mean, slightly.
It's kind of true. But Sun, this team without Sun is much worse than this team with Sun.
Agreed.
I like the team name because, the whole buggy final battle of the game. I like that. Is this the most space a team has ever taken up?
I don't know. This one was hell. The 2 this season that were hell in a handbasket to try to like make into a graphic were this team and Math Geek's team, Solar Eclipse.
Gotcha.
I hate having to put Roaring Moon on a graphic because its wings are so goddamn big that to make it fit normally, I have to make its body tiny.
Yeah,
I hate it.
And then you look at this, and it's like half of the Pokemon are overlapping Gouging Sun.
Yeah.
Gouging Fire.
Gouging Fire.
Anyway, about the actual team, the SAA, I hate them. I hate them being together. They're
rough.
so annoying. They're so good.
It's rough. To the point about Sun, like, I think the reason I think it's slightly less reliant is because, like, obviously Screamtail and Gouging Fire, like, really appreciate it, but I feel like Gouging Fire is just such a fucking threatening Pokemon on its own that even if it doesn't have Sun, it's okay. And I feel like you can booster energy the Walking Wake pretty safely, right?
Yeah, but why would you when you have Sun?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is in a situation where you don't have Sun. That's just why I'm saying where it's slightly less important.
Okay. I mean, Walking Wake's big thing is that Sun move.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'm sure there are going to be times it's going to be running like Spread Water. Honestly, people have slept on this. Speed boosting Screamtail is the most infuriating disruptive Pokemon.
I would say don't give him ideas, but Diggory spends like 75 hours a week team prepping, so there's nothing we can hide.
I'm sure he's well aware of speed boosting Screamtail.
I'm a C tier believer on this team. I kind of love them.
There's a lot of C tiers on this team that have just gone hard in the past.
Yeah, I mean, Vileplume has proven its worth. Orthworm, I think, definitely has options. Mega Pidgeot's a bit of a weird one, but I think No Guard Hurricane works very nicely here.
Yeah, I mean, Hurricane would otherwise be 50% accurate.
Yeah. And then Shiftry is like, it's a super weird pick, but like,
it's weirdly flexible.
Yeah. It kind of just works nicely here. The big threat here is fucking Gouging Fire, dude. This thing is so good.
Yeah, Gouging Fire's it's just a BST monster.
It's so good. It's so good. And then of course we have fabled ground type Silvally.
And we haven't talked about Bronzong at all either, but I think it's a really good support.
It's really nice. I mean, yeah, you have Gouging Fire, Orthworm, and Torkoal, and even Vileplume's I think neutral to it, but you have like several ground weaknesses. You have the Levitate, you have Sun, you have Heatproof and Sun. It can set TR. It acts as a really nice defensive mon.
Yeah,
I like it a lot. Bronzong is a Pokemon that I think too many people sleep on. I think it's fucking fantastic. I don't believe I've ever taken it purely because every season I want to take it, it gets taken.
I can't understate how much work Screamtail puts in on this team.
It is kind of
And
nutty.
it's like, you wouldn't think Screamtail would go crazy, but like, when your two biggest threats are Dragon type and then Screamtail's just sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
it's a problem.
Yeah, it's rough. This team, yeah, there's like not a particular weakness this team has. It's like really well rounded to not have any weaknesses. I think the Screamtail is definitely putting in work on that front.
I guess if I had to pick a weakness, it's the Tailwind users.
Yeah, it's Shiftry and Megapigia and
Shiftry, Mega Pidgeot,
and
and Silvally.
Silvally. Yeah.
Not any of those you particularly want to be your Tailwind sitter,
Mm.
but you also don't necessarily need Tailwind because the
Sun.
speed
Yeah.
booster is happening without a turn, without using a move to set up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, if there's one thing, it's like, yeah, you do have your triple SAA being all photosynthesis mon, so when you lose Sun, it's kind of like, well, shit. But at that point, I feel like it doesn't take that many turns for this thing to simply blast a big enough hole in the enemy team to not give a shit when Sun goes down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Torkoal turn 1. I'm about to give away some legendary tech. Torkoal turn 1 with the eject pack next to Gouging Fire. Gouging Fire does Burning Bulwark. Torkoal shell smashes to get the slowest baton pass of all time into Walking Wake. Then what? Then what do you do?
God. Degree's like, no. No, I'm a believer. I think the team does struggle from being a little bit predictable, obviously. But I think it works well, and I think there's definitely options after that, like turn 2, turn 3.
Digger's also been a big fan of manual weather in the past.
Yeah. Actually, you bring up manual weather. Is it a good time to switch pages?
Sure.
Okay. So I put a lot of thought into this team. This is maybe the most I've ever thought about a team. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Please explain it to me.
You can really tell because of the Pichu.
Yeah, please explain to me what the fuck is going on here. I haven't had time. Literally, I have not had time to think about what this team does, and I've imagined a few days.
So you've taken notes on everybody's team except yours.
I have some. I literally. Okay. I wrote my first note for this team is I'm kind of at a loss for this team. My second note is I personally don't feel that comfortable with manual weather setting.
Uh-huh.
I don't think this is a bad team. I don't think
I don't
this
think
is.
so either.
I think this is a pretty good team. I think I personally like, you know how everybody has styles they prefer and styles they don't like, right? Like some people really like TR, some people like balance. Someone like you who's like taken like Iron Boulder and like really enjoys hyper offense. A lot of people don't want Iron Boulder for that reason.
I don't think anybody in this league wanted Iron Boulder.
Yeah. I really am nervous about the manual setting.
Yeah, the first pick here was Archaludon, which
Pogs.
was followed by Tornadus, to which I was immediately thinking, when's the Pelipper? There's no Pelipper.
There's no Pelipper. Yeah, Ape obviously has a lot of eyes on it. To everybody who has eyes on Ape, I'm just gonna go ahead and let you know now. You can go ahead and close your eyes. It's not doing what it did last season. There's so many things. Last season was a goddamn jigsaw of making Ape fucking so powerful and so uniquely good last season. None of that shit is true right now. It's gonna get a couple of kills and, you know, a fair number of deaths, and it's gonna be a normal ass season for this Pokemon. So
Yeah, pretty much.
don't expect anything from it. Pichu balls here. Y'all don't even know.
Sure.
Pichu balls here. I'm just saying. It's
Yep.
better than Stantler.
I disagree.
I guarantee you it will come more matches than Stantler.
Maybe true.
I like Inteleon here. Inteleon would not have been my first pick here, but I do like it here. I will say the Pokemon here that I like, I definitely see as getting a lot of use. Archaludon, I think, is huge. Inteleon, I think, is huge. Tornadus, I'm not a big fan of the genies. I've never willingly used a genie Pokemon. That being said, I do see how it works well on this team. Salazzle is a Pokemon I've used before. Not super hyped to use it again, but I think it does a lot of stuff well here. Sableye, I don't think it's worth the slot, man. I think there were so many better B tiers I could have gotten here.
It is double prankster, which is a little strange.
It's double prankster. I mean, Sableye is one of the things Sableye really wants to do is it wants to be out on lead with Annihilate to allow Annihilate to set up in some way. But you just Dazzling Gleam. Simply Dazzling Gleam.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's fine. I think it's a fine team. I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. if you
though, light screen.
Who, Sableye? Yeah, that's a good point. Ban Dazzling Gleam. That is a good point, actually. Can we add that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so Dazzling Gleam is banned for Season 7. If that affects the tiering of your Mons, too fucking bad.
I do think Archaludon has a lot to do this season.
Yeah, it sure does. I think it's a good Pokemon.
I think it's a great Pokemon. I think Archaludon, Inteleon, Annihilate, obviously, Tornadus. I think Weezing is the one I don't understand the most, but like I feel like almost every week it's going to be running Levitate, and if not Levitate, it's going to be Misty Surge, and I don't think it would be Misty Surge that often.
Yeah. I don't have a dragon. No, I do have a dragon type. I'm fucking crazy. Literally right there.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
He's pretty enormous.
I don't know. Misty Surge can go hard. I guess. It prevents Annihilate from getting status. But, you know. I like Emboar on this team.
The Weezing pick was mainly to prevent Fairy, right? That was its point.
Prevent Fairy?
Like, act as a Fairy switch in?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, it has poison, so it can hit Fairies back. But I guess Archaludon can do that, too.
Yeah, it hits Fairies back.
Anyways,
it doesn't take Fairy moves super well.
Yeah, if anyone in chat has any recommendations for me, please let me know, because I have not thought about this team at all. Literally, the two Pokemon in this team, I will say three. The three Pokemon on this team that I've given a lot of thought to are Archaludon, Inteleon, and Pichu, unironically. Because I will make Pichu do something this season. It's going to happen, and it's been a journey of getting there, so I've put a lot of thought into it.
Alright.
Alrighty, next up we've got Whiskey's crew. Notable for Whiskey, please someone let Whiskey know he does not have the Zamazenta in his profile picture. He doesn't have that one. If he uses that one, he is getting 6-0'd.
Yeah, don't use Zamazenta Crown. You don't have that.
It's not that one. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Diggory. The one huge thing about this team that I'm not huge on, and maybe you can correct me on this, I don't like that the only real answer to water types here is Galvantula. I simply worry about that.
I guess I can see that. I mean, Empoleon's an answer defensively. It doesn't really fight back.
I guess enemy puts out a bulky water on the field. What are you doing?
Rotom.
I guess.
Like, I know it's weak to it, but it's probably still Rotom.
Yeah. Does Mammo get freeze dry? It probably does.
It does, but
it probably doesn't. Yeah, it probably doesn't want to use it. Yeah. Other thing, I feel like the team is significantly ice weak.
It's kind of ice weak. But it's also got...
Yeah, unless you got thick, fat Mamoswine, then you're probably okay, but...
Yeah, that's... I mean, it usually runs that, so... Yeah. But, well, not necessarily. You can run Oblivious to Tank Intimidate.
Bros bringing Oblivion.
Oblivion. Yeah.
Oblivion. Mime, great C tier, fucking top notch. Drapion. The C tier picks are really nice here. Speaking of like comfort picks, Galvantula is definitely a comfort pick for Whiskey.
Yeah. I actually think Galvantula and Staraptor go really well together. And by that, what I really mean is Sticky Web and Staraptor go really well together.
Yeah, it's valid. That's valid. This team
Because
I know.
what
Yeah.
does Staraptor want to do? It wants to click Choice Band Adamant moves that have recoil.
Nah. Nah. Yeah, this team I know went through a lot of iterations before settling on this, so I feel like this is a little bit zombified of what was originally planned. I still think it came out okay. I think there's definitely a couple teams like Curtain Call, for example, it's potentially going to struggle with a fair bit. I don't know. I don't have that many thoughts on that. How about you?
Yeah, it's weird, this team. I can see there were a lot of ideas that changed,
Yeah.
definitely, just based off of the team.
Uh-huh.
I think it's one of those teams that, again, has a lot of really good individual Pokemon, and kinda doesn't have the glue.
Mm-hmm.
I am kind of excited to see what Empoleon does, though, because that Pokemon has been majorly buffed.
Yep, competitive's kind of huge.
And I mean, Togekiss is tried and true. While it's not like a synergistic piece, it's the partner every Pokemon wants.
Yeah. Togekiss was definitely a snipe, I think, a couple of times. It was nice. I'm glad Whiskey also got a snipe, because Whiskey was sniped so many fucking times in the first 3 rounds, that I'm glad Whiskey also got one. You know, as a treat. Like, here's one snipe as a treat. Alrighty, moving on into you.
Oh, we're already on me.
Yeah, my main thought about this team is very you. It's
Yeah.
very you. Lorgis, I feel like, is such a good pick here.
Florges is carrying the world on its back on this team.
Love Florges into this team. Like before, when you were picking, you weren't really talking to me about your picks, and I was thinking like, okay, there's a couple of options here. I was literally paying more attention to everybody else's teams than my own, and you picked fucking Florges, and I'm like, oh my god, it's all coming together. This shit goes crazy as hell on this team. Mega Blaziken and Iron Boulder are absolutely just Umons.
Oh yeah.
And I mentioned this at the beginning, but I think Wellspring Ogerpon is the best sort of defensive / supportive Ogerpon.
I was shocked. I'm 15th pick. I was shocked.
That
Wellspring was up.
Yeah, it goes kind of nuts. Tell me about your thoughts on this team. I mean, obviously, like, I'm actually kind of surprised by the Ursaluna. I felt like this would be the Ursaluna you liked less.
Why it's better?
It's better, but I feel like it's less your style. Like, isn't this the sort of the bulkier, like, more like stally of the two? Or is that not true?
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression this was a very like Calm Mind-esque guy.
Yeah, that's one thing it does.
It's less bulky, less stally. Okay, I was wrong. Never mind. I was under the impression that the other one was just like, fucking give me my flame orb and we going. Whereas this one was like, ooh, lefties, give me lefties, baby.
I think this one can run leftovers, can run assault vest, can run specs. Probably not specs that much because, Blood Moon doesn't really work.
Yeah, Blood Moon has an issue there. Yeah. I think this is very solid. How are you? Because every time we've seen Galarian Moltres has been in this very unique position of basically always having proper healing support. The closest thing you have to that is Florges with, potentially like item replacement. What is your thoughts here?
I don't plan to use Moltres Galar like anyone else has.
Interesting. Okay. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Did you have healing support for it? No, but I fucking lost, you'll remember. I was the one person who did badly with Galarian Moltres. That's because I didn't have that. So, there's your answer.
I think a major weakness of my team is that Galarian Moltres is the only Tailwinder.
Does Blaziken not get it?
No,
Oh, I
he's
thought
a
Blaziken
chicken.
got it. Well, yeah, he's a chicken. Chickens have tails and wind.
Huh?
Chickens have tails and wind.
I don't.
Look at his arc. His flames are arcing backwards like there's wind coming at him.
You're gonna make me check, even though I know he doesn't get it, and he doesn't. But
okay, well, I succeeded because I made you doubt yourself.
Basically, my plan with this team is to make things hit good and kill.
Yeah, it's the normal. This is you. Like, I look at this team and I'm like scared of it, but I'm always also like, yeah, this is kind of exactly what I expect. This team, I know you had a sort of a situation towards your final two picks where you were just like, hey, I kind of already have everything I need.
Yeah, I picked a Scavalier and then I got pinged to pick again, and I was like, I get more? I don't need more.
Yeah. So, can you give us a little insight into your thought process about the low kicks and clang clang picks?
Low kicks, you told me to take it in a call, and I was like, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. That's true. It was literally your pick, and I was just like, hey, how about low kicks? And you're like, yeah. What about clang clang?
I don't know, I just kind of like it. I was considering a C-tier dragon type, but they all suck, so I took Kling Clang instead.
That's pop. Yeah. I think Boulder on this team works really well, because, like, obviously everyone had, like, struggles even thinking about this one, because Rock Psychic is really bad defensively, and in doubles,
just horrible.
Yeah, in doubles, it's always rough having something that it's like it has some bulk, but like it's not surviving. But you love that shit, man.
Yeah.
You love that.
You know what
shit,
else I really like? Having a water immunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Ogerpon is nice. For sure. How about Gengar? This is kind of a bit of an odd one here.
You think so?
Well, I don't think it's odd on the team. It's just like it's something that I looked at and I'm like, oh shit, cool. Like Gengar. Like I just feel like Gengar has not really seen much play in TDD, so I'm just curious what your thought process is with it.
I agree. It hasn't seen much play in TDD, and that's why I picked it.
Oh, well there you go.
Because I think it's a really fun Pokemon.
Awesome. Weirdly, Mega Gengar I think has seen more play in TDD than regular Gengar, and Mega Gengar is banned.
Yep.
So that's
weird,
cool.
isn't it?
Yeah, this is true. I think it's more about Gengar than Mega Gengar, potentially.
Anyway, I talked about strategies on some other teams, so I think it's not super fair for me to not give any of mine away.
Digger says Steven had Gengar for a whole season. Was it season 2? Because I do not
remember.
Yes, it was
season 2.
Okay, then that doesn't count. It does not count then.
That's why I said it hasn't seen much play, because Steven had it in season 2. Something that I want to do that's just funny is I want to give Iron Boulder a booster energy, have it get consumed, and then have Florges give it another item, because I think that's funny.
Definitely. I think that also works on Galarian Moltres, I feel like, with like a citrus or something.
Yeah, potentially, but I don't really plan on using Berserk.
Okay. That's true. Berserk doesn't really seem like your kind of style of ability.
It's fine, but
you the kind of guy that likes being at 100% HP or 0% HP. You don't like shit in the middle.
Yeah, which explains the Blaziken and the
Boulder.
Iron Boulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just doing what I always do, going fast, hitting hard.
It's generally successful.
Yeah, sometimes.
If it ain't broke. Alright, and then finally we've got the Moth-ership.
A great name.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I see a lot of Pokemon here that I think are generally good. This is another one that I feel like struggles with identity.
I don't necessarily feel the same.
Okay. What are the synergies you're seeing that I'm not?
I guess the major weird thing is that Comfy's here, And like normally you would want Comfy to like heal the things with the highest base stats, so like the S and A tiers.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all squishy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like.
Zera Aura doesn't necessarily have to be run squishy. Iron Moth, on the other hand, is like, ooh, that physical is not looking good.
Blastoise is just carrying so much weight here.
Blastoise does a lot. Um,
Copperajah too, to a degree.
yeah, and Mega Heracross, I even want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, I've used Mega Heracross in the past. It went off.
Hoser likes the Mega Pinsir pick. That would be a really cool pick if it was in this season. I agree.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Morgrim, I have issues with this pick. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Morgrim does not get a move pool.
You told me about that, and I didn't actually double check you on that.
Check me on that, because I think I'm right. I think it's like Thunderwave mainly, and like Fake Tears. I don't know what else it gets.
It gets screens, it gets parting shot,
Okay, it
it
does.
gets
Okay.
trick, thunderwave, taunt.
Okay, it does get screens and parting shot. I was not sure if it got those. I know Grimmsnarl does. I wasn't sure about Morgrim.
Yeah,
Because I
Morgan
remember
does.
I remember looking at Morgrim at one point, like last season, just being like, man, this thing fucking sucks.
Its stats certainly leave something to be desired. Being a not fully evolved Pokemon. But no, it can do the things Grimmsnarl does, just like not
Okay.
nearly as good.
Okay. That's fine. Maybe it's fine then. I've every time I look at this Pokemon, I feel disappointed. Also, it only has a single nostril, which I feel like is really rough. Like when you go to bed and one of your nostrils is all clogged up and the other one isn't. Grimmsnarl, fucking Morgrim just can't breathe. Because he's just got the one.
Can you usually breathe through both nostrils? I can't.
I don't know. Unless this guy can like breathe through his ears, which he might be able to. It's
A
gotta be.
Pokemon that I'm always confused about is Wordeer. I have no idea what this Pokemon does.
Mortier is definitely just like, yeah, it's here. We
I
shall
don't even know what
see.
its signature move does.
It's something with defense, I think. I don't know.
Um, but yeah, I think Blastoise carries a ridiculous amount of weight on this team. As you said earlier, pretty much all of the SNA, with the exception of maybe Zero Aura, wants redirection all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, to
Uh,
be clear, I think Iron Moth is fucking incredibly good, and I think Iron Moth and Shaman sort of together works well, but I just feel like they're never out at the same time, and you need
they're
the
only out at the same time if the sweep is underway.
right, yeah. I just feel like you that Blastoise is just he's doing major shit. The Dunsparce is here, I guess.
Yep.
I think
I
it's
mean,
fine.
he's here to break protect.
Yeah, good
By
for him.
break, I mean ignore it. He does not break it.
Unfort.
Um, I mean, Shaman is like the best Pokemon at making people angry, so you can do that.
It's true. Dig it.
Uh, I don't know. This team is solid, but it has just a few points that I've mentioned that kind of not necessarily confuse me, but like strike me as exploitable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be clear, like, I don't remember what I said at the very beginning. I do like the team. I think the identity, it has potential issues with just, like, where the defensive core is. Obviously, Blastoise is really, really good, but I hadn't even really considered Mega Heracross as a defensive sort of part of this team, but I guess
It's got something.
it's got something.
It's mostly offensive, but it's got something.
Bro, his thorax is like an air conditioner.
I know. I mean, I guess a nice thing that might be necessary on this team is sacrificing a little bit of power to not get those defense drops with close combat and just running arm thrust instead.
On who? Oh, on Mega Heracross?
Yeah, it's a pretty notable downgrade, but not dropping the defenses on a team like this might be kind of huge.
I just keep looking at Mariga Heracross and I just keep seeing more things. Bro's got a little pout. Look at his little pouty face. He's got like a little frown and he got the little cheeks. He's got fucking penny hair and air conditioner. Bro, I'm losing my mind. I have nothing useful to add. In case that wasn't clear.
I'm looking forward to Iron Moth in general.
I think it pogs. I think Iron Moth's gonna be cool.
It's a Pokemon I've wanted to take multiple times, and I just want to see how it gets used.
I think Iron Moth would have pug in a Terra season, but there's no Terra this season.
Yeah. Alright, that's every team.
That's every team. Do you have any final thoughts? Any big predictions for season 7?
I feel like this season probably has the most good teams out of any season so far.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think makes sense. I think that's going to happen a lot of the seasons because players are just getting better.
Yeah. I think Ice will dominate Quick Ball to a large degree. I think OJ is going to pop off. I hope OJ is going to pop off because I think OJ has a really good team this season.
I think Okarari has an incredible team.
Okarari's team, I honestly might be the best in Quick. I think that team goes kind of nuts. I'm the person who fights him for friend ball. I'm kind of terrified, but it'll probably be okay because I do have Pichu.
Yeah. I mean, what is wrong with you?
Dude, I am broken. Do you not understand that I am fucking broken? What else do I have, brother?
You have an Annihilate.
No, I understand what I have, but you understand why I can't use Annihilate, right?
No.
Okay, well then fuck you. What is it called? Not stage fright. Performance anxiety.
Simply don't be anxious.
Damn, so true. I've been solved. I need to figure out what the hell I'm doing. Anyways, yeah, that's all. Yeah, I do think a lot of solid teams. Obviously every team is gonna have some downside, with the exception of like fucking Meteor Bower. Honestly, I'm just like scrolling back through this and I'm like looking at all these teams and I get back to the Armory and I'm just like, wait, hold on, this one just is good. What's the downside? I don't see it. Nobody's expecting you to win this season. Thank you, Diggory. Thank you so much for having so much faith in me.
Look, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, if you had to ask me like what team am I most scared of in Timer Ball, that's such a hard decision. Like they're all really good. Like Steven's team scares me.
Steven's team.
Ned's team scares me. Diggory's team scares me.
That's valid. The main ones that came to mind for me were Steven and Ned. Diggory obviously has, you know, his fun stuff. Juice has some nonsense going on there. You don't have to be too worried about me, but except for the Pichu. There's, I don't even know who else is in our league. Egg and Co. Co's team doesn't scare me. I'm still gonna lose to it, but it just doesn't scare me, if that makes sense. I think it's good. I'm just not terrified because I generally know what it does.
Sure.
Anyways, and then yeah, for Quick, I think this might be one of Quick's best showings in terms of team building.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's a couple of people that have struggled in the past. Mainly the two that come to mind are OJ and Math, who have both in the past had struggles building good teams, and both this time actually I think have pretty good teams.
Yeah, I think both of them have really good teams.
Yeah. Okarari, obviously, as you mentioned, really strong. Burnt, I think, pretty good there. Who else? Kotard? I'm trying to remember what Kotard's team was. Because there's Kotard and there's Derpy. Derpy's team I'm a little bit shaky on. Both of them I have some concerns on in regards to the Trick Room versus the sort of relying on C tiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Stormy's team, which I refuse to talk about Stormy's team anymore because I fucking said one thing about it and everyone fucking jumped up my asshole like I was getting an enema. Just like, oh, Time to water gun all up in here. Cause you said Scarf Heatran. It's got a nice defensive core though.
Yeah.
Simply choose better words. Simply run your own league. All right. Good night, everybody. Unless you have any final words.
I don't think so.
All
I think
right.
I'm good with this.
Have fun, everyone. Have a good season. Make sure you win. If you don't win, you're not allowed in next season. Next season actually only has one player, and it's the champion. So, goodbye.
Oh.